Hey everyone, it's Friday. Welcome to Litvak Leadership Live. I've got my good friend Ronna-Renee Jackson, who is the managing partner of LaunchPoint Leadership with us. How you doing today, Ronna-Renee?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited to have you here. But before we jump into it, I just want to remind everyone, Litvak Leadership is a growing opportunity for people to learn about leadership. That's why we have subject matter experts on. And if you want more than just this weekly video, hop over to Facebook and on YouTube and like Litvak Leadership and subscribe. And then you'll get the pop-up videos and other postings during the week. All right, enough about that. So Ronna-Renee, first thing I want to ask you, and you and I have had this conversation, but I want the world to understand it because I think all of the Yankees out there are like, what's with the name Ronna-Renee? Will you explain that to everyone, please?
I think double names are very common in the South. And in fact, our daughter has two names. She's Sarah Catherine. She was named for my mother and my grandmother. And I don't know exactly where Ronna or Renee came from. I think my dad wanted to name me Stephanie. I don't know. I'm a child of the 60s. Maybe my parents were a little funky. I don't know. But I've always been called Ronna-Renee, and it is a mouthful, but once you get used to it, it sort of rolls off your tongue. Ronna-Renee, Ronna-Renee. It's not that hard.
Yeah. So I used for a period of time of about maybe 7 years. I was in Memphis every other week, and
nice.
it seems like half the women in Memphis have two names.
Yeah, there's a lot of Mary somethings, right? Mary Alice, Mary Stewart, Mary Harris. I mean, lots of Mary somethings. And I live in Memphis, and I've been here just almost exactly a year. I think it was a year last Saturday. So I'm new. Wow. But I do see a lot of double names.
Cool. So tell us, you're the managing partner of LaunchPoint Leadership. What is LaunchPoint Leadership all about?
LaunchPoint Leadership is a boutique consultancy that's headquartered in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where I lived for about 18 years. Our founder and CEO is Marge Fleming, and she really started the company to capitalize on her huge breadth of experience in corporate America. And Marge and I met when we were putting together a mentor program for Chattanooga Women's Leadership Institute. And then we continued to work together. And when I left corporate America, I joined LaunchPoint. And so we're two practitioners, but we have affiliate partners that are across the Southeast, and we're certified in a lot of different instruments. So we do all kinds of things from facilitate complex leadership meetings or board retreats to teach a lot of corporate training, a lot of background, and we both are certified professional coaches.
So let's talk a little bit about certification, because there's all kinds of coaches out there. I am a certified building services executive, which does absolutely nothing to help people with their LinkedIn or their resume or figure out their life. But I can tell you all about cleaning. Why is it important, in your opinion, for whomever someone works with in a mentor relationship to have a certification?
Well, I think it just gives credibility, right? I mean, as you mentioned, there are lots of coaches out there. There are a lot of people that say they have experience, but if you have gone through a certification program, you have demonstrated that you have experience. You have been able to, pass an exam or share your knowledge, or there's just a level of credibility that I think comes with having a certification, and that can be passed on then to your clients or constituents or whoever it is that is inquiring about your particular expertise.
So you made mention that, you all are certified or use different certifications with individuals. Do you have a specific certification that someone should be looking for when they're looking to work with a coach?
I don't really. I mean, ICC, or I think ICF is the International Coaching Federation, or PCC is a professional certified coach. Those are both very stringent and require quite a bit of work to achieve those certifications. So if you're looking for a coach, that's kind of a good standard, but it's not necessary either. I mean, I think a lot of coaches have tons of experience and they've had great clients. So I would say ask your prospective coach about their experience, what has been their biggest challenge in their coaching world, and you'll get a feel then on really to understand what your prospective coach can bring to the table. If they're like, well, I don't know, I haven't experienced that before, move on. But you should be able to have a really robust conversation. And I meant that we're also certified in various instruments. So for example, the DISC 360 or Strength Finders or Herman Brain Dominance Indicator, different assessments that we have, either we are or some of our affiliates are certified in. And so we can bring those tools to clients to use in solving whatever problem they're trying to solve.
So when you talk about the DISC certification is, there's a lot of different companies out there that offer DISC. And when I was speaking with one of them, Wiley, recently, they say that they are the DISC company. Is that who your certification is through? So why did you choose the Wiley DISC over one of the other DISCs out there?
Again, I think it's a credible program. When they have hundreds or thousands of practitioners, they're able to demonstrate the value. You see the type of reports and tools that they're providing to you, then I think that speaks for itself. So
let's talk about when you're working with someone. You have on your website, find your true north in your leadership journey to help you refine your skills to become your best. And I love this, leader self. Going to have to co-opt that if you don't trademark it.
Yeah.
So how do you see what individuals should be doing to find their true north? And even as a precursor to that, how are you defining true north?
Well, I think when I first started working in corporate America, I thought leadership was synonymous with management. I thought leadership was a job title. And the more I have turned inward really and tried to learn about myself and discern different things that I believe in, and that to me speaks to finding your true north, because now you're able to weed through the chaff, so to speak, right? I mean, leadership is not necessarily a job title or a management position. So to me, you have to really know who you are. It's rooted in your values. What are the values that you ascribe to, and how do those play out every day in your interactions with people? And I think when you are grounded in things like that, in your values, in the true sense of yourself, then your leadership goes with you everywhere. And you see leaders in children that you know are leaders. You see teenagers that are leaders. You see young adults that are leaders, and they're not tied to this notion that's kind of old-fashioned, really, about it being a company position. So to me, your true self, your leader self is within you, and you just have to be able to do the work to weed through and discern a little bit about what's important to you. And then you're able to lead with your own sense of values.
So let's talk about the true self as part of the true north. If you had to define your true self, which I'm going to ask you to do now, I mean, how would you do it in, 3 sentences of no more than 7 words each?
Oh,
not that that's like a huge constraint, but I mean, briefly, how would you describe your true self?
I think you need to know what's important to you and know. So I think that's the first one. Know where you can compromise and where you won't. So that's a little bit just of a refining off the first statement, right? I have to know what's important to me, and then I have to know what I can give up and what I won't, and those different things. And for my personal journey, that's changed through the years, right? I mean, when I was young in my career, I put in unbelievable hours serving a corporation. And later, I remember thinking, wow, I can't get that time back with my kids, or I can't do any of that over, but I don't have to do it again. So when I changed companies and I went to a different large corporation still, then I approached how I work differently because I learned that about myself. So I was learning what would I compromise on and what I wouldn't. And I figured out, here's the things that are important to me. So I think that's just a small example of how you can find your true north by not really, it's not as an assessment. It's not, although Enneagram is a great one or Strength Finders is a great one. All of those are tools that help you look inward, but it really is figuring out that value proposition. And there's even I think it's University of Pennsylvania has a values assessment. The VIA is on their website and at UPenn. And so that's, to me, a great place to start, because once you figure out where you can't compromise, then you're able to move into a real true self-leadership.
So how does someone know when they're actually ready to enter into a mentoring relationship with someone? Because I'll tell you, when someone asks me, hey, Sean, can you help me? And this has been over the years when it's, can you help me with my resume? Hey, my LinkedIn looks terrible. I'm not sure what I want to do. I've asked people 4 questions. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you make money at? And I say, why don't you sit down and make a list of those things and then get back to me? And inevitably, 80% of the people are overwhelmed by answering those 4 questions. And to me, if someone's not willing to take the half hour to do that, I don't think they're ready or serious to move forward. How do you challenge people to see if someone's really serious to make a difference in their own life?
I think those are really great questions. And I think the reason people are overwhelmed is kind of what I was saying. They don't know who they are. So they can't answer the question because they're not sure what makes them happy. They're not sure what they can offer to the world. And so I have a similar assessment that I send to people, but I think a general rule of thumb is that people have a misunderstanding of what mentoring is. And
Okay.
I think that people think mentoring is you meet and the mentor shares with the mentee all of their knowledge on any wide range of subjects. And that is a definition. It's just not the only one, because there are lots of different types of mentoring relationships that span from very long-term and highly structured to very short-term and very informal. A friend saying, hey, can you look at this and give me your opinion? That's like flash mentoring. You're right there. You're just going to answer their question and move on.
I like it. Flash mentoring.
Yeah, flash mentoring. Whereas a company who may have a highly structured long-term mentor program as a part of their succession planning, their approach to mentoring is totally different. Or we talk about reverse mentoring. A lot of people my age still in the workforce are learning something different from maybe younger people, right? So it's reverse mentoring. So there's lots of different types of mentoring. There are lots of different ways you can structure the relationship. And that is where I say you have to start with the end in mind. You have to figure out what is it that you want to get out of the relationship, and then you can figure out how to structure it and ultimately identify who you need to be the mentor. Because, a lot of times when people ask me, will you mentor me? I say, well, why are you asking me? Because if they can't answer that question, they're definitely not ready to be mentored.
And I had thrown out something in a Facebook group. I'll post videos on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'll usually end them with, hey, and if you want help, reach out to me, and I'm willing to help you with whatever you need help with. And someone reached out to me the other day, and they said, I need someone to help me hold myself accountable. And I said, that's great. What do you want to be held accountable to?
Yeah. They didn't know, right?
Yeah. And I guess I'm so type A. I've never had that experience. I mean, how, you know, and I know that there's people out there that have greatness within them, that, you know, as Evan Carmichael says, you know, they have Michael Jordan's skill level at something, but they're so hesitant to do something about it. I feel for those folks. Do you have people approach you for assistance that are like that, and how do you draw it out of them?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think that's the first roadblock that you hit in any coaching relationship. And, you know, you can say, well, how can I help you? And then they just sit there because they don't really know. So it's a series of open-ended questions. And sometimes I've even had clients before just sit there and look at me and then like tears well up. And I'm like, well, where's that emotion coming from? What are you feeling in this moment? And finally, you know, you're able to break the logjam and get a little something that you can probe deeper with and have them come to some realization. But I think that happens all the time. Again, because I say they don't know themselves, so they don't know what they should be accountable to. They don't know where they're supposed to go. And it just becomes overwhelming.
What about when people have those gremlins talking to them, even those that are achieving things, you know, negative thing happens that could be completely unrelated to all the positive, and they start getting themselves into negative self-talk. I don't think people realize how much they self-talk and how important it is to control it. What say you?
Totally agree. I wrote a blog about this, about the Gremlins. That's the name
That's where I got the heading here. So
yes. The gremlin, you know, that little voice you hear in your head that tells you you're not worthy or you're not good enough. And I hear it and in myself, and I hear others saying it to them. I play golf sometimes with this woman, and I'm like, I've told her, you've got to stop talking to yourself so bad on the golf course. Like she'll hit a shot and she'll say, oh my God, I suck at this. This is terrible. And I'm like, man, you got to get your head around this, because just like the words we say to our children become their truth, the words that we say to ourselves become our truth. And so I really believe in that positive, and you have to stop it. So there's a lot of different techniques about figuring out what is, I call the big T, what's really true, the big, this is true, or the little T, like this is a truth, you know, and there's some things about there that have to deal with your beliefs and your belief system, which is another term for values. But the gremlins are in everybody's head. We all have them. And taming the gremlins is almost a daily exercise.
I as outward as I am, I still have those moments where I realize, oh, don't go there. Don't say that. Don't think that. Focus on what is right. What about the impact of one's faith in their personal growth and their life? Do you think that has a positive impact for people? Do you think it's something people should be embracing? Do you see that as you know, encouraging people?
For me personally, yes. I mean, I am a very faith-based and faith-driven person, but I recognize that for clients, they may not share my faith, but they may have a deep affinity and belief in their own faith. And so I totally respect that. I think that it can be a calling that you can feel that we have an obligation to each other. I mean, I think when you look at the big three religions, they all have a higher being. I mean, they all have the sense. So there's a lot of commonality, not as much that breaks us apart. And I think this is not a political discussion, but in our really fractured world today, people are able to see past that and see the value that you can get from being in relationship with someone who may be different than you. And for me, that's a part of my faith journey. So I definitely, I'm constantly reading and deconstructing in a way, even my own beliefs and forming my own opinion. And some things about some faiths are harmful and damaging, and people have to question and think about that. But, that's again where it comes into self-leadership, because if you're able to think about what's important to you, what your values are, what won't you compromise on, then you're able to align your path with your faith of whatever it is, or an absence of faith, because you're really grounded. And I think that's the most important thing.
So I've heard you bring up a couple times compromising. So talk to me about what you mean by, in someone's own leader self journey, what they will compromise on, what they won't compromise on. What perspective are you looking at that from? And do you think, what perspective should people look at it from?
I look at it really from the perspective of experience. I mean, that I've learned, I've been to the school of hard knocks, right? And so there are things that,
Amen.
right, that I know I can't do again, but as I already said, I mean, I can't do over, but I already said I don't have to do it again. And so I think that's an important lesson. And you're only going to really get that through experience, because it's not like an aspiring leader in a company or someone who's fairly new on their leadership journey is going to be able to know and discern how everything feels to them. It's only when we have the lens of reflection that we're able to really untangle some of the mess that we frankly probably self-created. And so I think that's the reflective lens is a really powerful tool. So I think people should be using that, and even incorporating some time on their calendar to reflect every week, every month, whatever. That's a big part of it. And that can tie in with their spirituality. So there's a lot of different ways that you can bring those pieces together. But reflection is an incredibly potent tool for a leadership journey.
So you talk about the lens of reflection. Is that a specific step-by-step program, or is it when people sit down on Saturday, Sunday, whatever, and say, okay, let's look at what occurred this week. Here's what happened Monday. Here's what happened Tuesday. Now, what did I learn from it? How could I have done it different? What exactly are you talking about with reflection?
The latter example. I don't think that it's necessarily a prescribed process. I do think it is asking yourself questions like, what did I learn? How did that make me feel? I think a lot of times people shut off, or they think they should shut off their feelings and emotions as it relates to work. And I've always said that's not true, because you have to integrate your whole self. I mean, that your home, your work, your friends, your professional, you can't compartmentalize all these different pieces of yourself. And so the more integrated they are, the more aligned they are, the more whatever action you're taking is going to feel good to you, right? I mean, if you can't,
but don't feelings lie? Don't feelings lie? I mean, sometimes I think if I've done a presentation and I'm like, I really could have done better in this and this, and I'll ask someone who's with me, give me constructive feedback, and they're like, man, you just hammered it. I'm like, but it doesn't feel like it. Or, you'd feel like you're not doing enough. Or people talk about imposter syndrome, which I used to think was hooey, but occasionally I find myself straying into it. And to me, that's like an illegitimate feeling. Help me understand feelings with this, because I subscribe to feelings lie.
I think that negative feeling is your gremlin, right? So it's true that you hear the voice. How you respond to it is aligning your feelings and yourself. Your feelings might say, oh, I don't think I did the best I could. That can be true. That's still a feeling, but it can also be true. And then you can say, okay, next time, what did I learn from that? How did it make me feel? Then you're able to apply those things to grow through that, to be able, the next time, I need to prepare more. I need to practice differently. I need to make sure that I'm silencing that gremlin, because I did listen to it. But
you mean the lying gremlin that's talking about feelings?
I don't see it as a lying, as feelings or lies. I think that feelings are true.
We will have to agree to disagree. So while we're agreeing to disagree, let's talk about this. So this is from your website, and I agree with work hard, play hard. But life's short. I know most of society says life's short. If people who follow Litvak leadership or my personal posts everywhere, I have the hashtag life is long. And my perspective on that is you've got a number of years on this planet, and I know that it may be short compared to eternity, but it's long for yourself personally. Go out and get it. Why do you say life's short?
Because I think life can change in an instant. And so you may think that you have those years and you're going to go out and get it, but a truck could hit you tomorrow and life's short. So I think people who think that I'll do it tomorrow or I'll have time tomorrow never comes. It's today. And so I agree with your statement that, go out and get it, of course, but I interpret that as life is short because the life that I think I have, the time I think I may have is not promised to us. And so that to me equates that life is short and I want to go out and get it. We're saying the same thing, we just have a different life.
I think we're saying something similar because what I'm saying is life is long. So don't put off to tomorrow what you can do today because you've got long life, and let's get with it, people.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's get with it, people. I just think life's short, but we're saying the same thing. We're just looking at it from different lenses.
I'm so glad to hear that. So, okay, what is Settle the Glitter?
Okay, this is something.
I saw it on your website, but I didn't read the article.
Okay, I explain it in the article, but I'll give you the short version here. I worked at an all-girls school in Chattanooga for a while, and we brought in speakers all the time to address the girls and sometimes address the parents about the challenges of raising teenage girls. And there's a well-known psychologist, Dr. Lisa D'Amour, and she said that she feels like a lot of times when she's working with somebody, they're so upset. It's like a glitter in a snow globe, right? They're all over the place. And she's like, you need to settle the glitter. Like sit down and just take a deep breath and calm yourself down and let all of that fall down so that now you can see where you want to focus. And I think, we were talking earlier about clients that are overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. They're firing off all these questions, but they can't respond to any questions that you ask. They need to settle the glitter, right? There just needs to be, ask them one question and wait and work through until they can get that one answer. And then you can move on to the next. But when you stack questions and you're throwing stuff at them, you're not helping them settle the glitter.
Okay. If it was pick up the glitter, then that to me, that's like, that never happens. It's just got to wear away. So
yeah, glitter lives forever, right? I mean, you get a card or a birthday card, and you have glitter, and then you wipe your hand, and oh my Lord, it's everywhere.
There's glitter everywhere. And all right, so tell us about your Facebook group, The Road to True Leadership.
Okay, we invite people to join our Facebook group. It really is designed to be a place where leaders across multiple industries are able to interact and share, ask questions of each other. If they're having a particularly difficult experience at work, they can ask somebody and get input. So it does provide a lot of interaction, but we also push a lot of content out there. We have with Wisdom Wednesdays. I love that brand. I don't know why I have a hard time saying it, but I do. And a lot of people use it. And we're working right now. We have this little booklet that says you might be a good mentor if, and we can send you this booklet, but there's a lot of different things content that we put into that private Facebook group so that we're just serving value up to our members. It's a free group. It's a great place to meet others of like mind.
Yeah, I'm in, I think I joined your group, but the challenge that I have had is I'm in way too many groups. And this weekend, I'm going to sit down and just call them back. How many groups do you think if someone is actually going to engage in the group that they should be in as at a maximum number?
I would say 3 to 5 max.
Oh,
Is that high to you or low?
no, that's low. I'm in way too many groups.
I think if you're in all those other groups, you have to ask yourself, what value am I getting and what value am I serving? If you are just browsing and scrolling by and you're not really interacting, then it's probably not, you're not getting anything out of it. And if they're similar, if you're in 5 different leadership groups,
Yeah.
are you learning something radically different from group A than group C? You know, you have to kind of narrow that down. I struggle with the same thing on platforms. We were talking earlier before we started the show. I'm in way too many platforms. I mean, I've got Alignable, Clubhouse, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, it's too much. And you don't know where to spend your time. And again, I come back to, okay, I've got to figure out where am I giving value and where am I getting value?
And to all my friends that love Clubhouse, Kellyanne, I'm talking to you here. It's Steve Rizzo. What is the point of Clubhouse other than, you know, it's like live streaming, people all talking? I just don't get it. What do you think?
I have found it difficult to answer that question, what value am I getting? So I find myself seeing the notifications on my phone, you know, so-and-so is live now, and I don't even join in. I mean, there's a morning meditation that I join in every so often, and there is a weekly coaching call that I've joined a handful of times. And, you know, they're interesting. It's fine. If I have time and nothing else is going on, I might join in, but a lot of times I just see the notification and I move on because it's not how I want to spend my time. So I don't know. I don't have a great answer for it.
You know, and in the mastermind group that I'm in, there's 24 of us in the group. I think 3 people have podcasts, and easily 6 of us have live streams that are either weekly or just pop-up live streams. And I get a notification for every one.
Right.
And if I listened to everybody for the full term, I wouldn't get anything done.
Yeah, you don't have time. You can't consume that much, and you can't process and then respond. And that, to me, then why do it? Because people want to learn about you, they want to follow you, and they want you to engage. That's why they follow you. I mean, that's what leadership is, right? You can't lead people if they're not willing to follow you. So I would rather spend my time focused on giving value back to people that are following and that are engaging than me trying to look in 50 million other platforms and groups that I'm not really getting anything from.
So tell us about your book. You might be a good mentor if, without giving it all away. It sounds like, is this something for people to purchase, or is it a giveaway? What is it exactly?
It's free. It's complimentary. We would love for you to follow the link on the screen and join it. What we have learned, and we talked about mentoring a little bit, is people have wide definitions and misunderstandings of it. And so we spent several years researching effective mentoring programs, looking across all kinds of stuff, and found that many companies aren't achieving their ROI because they're not able to measure the benefit of having a mentoring program. And most of that comes from their mentors don't know what to do. So we started out training mentors, and we did this in person, and then, you know, we had quite a following. But before the pandemic, it was always in person. We would go into companies, we would train all their mentors. How could they be more effective mentors, et cetera, et cetera. Pandemic shuts down all of this training. So now we have taken all of our body of knowledge and converted it into a digital platform. And we now have a course, Mastering Effective Mentoring, that is a digital course that you can take through LaunchPoint. And we have about 15 or 18 different downloads that are in there, tools that you can use, all different things. And we cover the gamut from how to structure your mentor relationship, the different types of mentoring. We have a social emotional intelligence module. I mean, really a wide array of tools and techniques that we teach
Wow.
you so that you can be the best mentor possible.
That is, I'm going to sign up and get your booklet, and then whichever email I use it from, I'm sure I'll start getting emails from you with opportunity. Maybe. So tell me, either what is your favorite book, or what are you reading right now, and what are you getting out of it?
Oh gosh, I am an avid reader, and I talk on my own show about books all the time. So I'm fascinated with Tools of Titans, which I think Tim Ferriss wrote, and he interviewed like 100 leaders who are the best in their particular industry and what made them, what did they do? So that gets into a lot about habits and ways that you can structure things. So I'm fascinated with that book. I live on the Mississippi River, and I just finished reading Rising Tide, and that is all about the Army Corps of Engineers and whether we should have a levee system or an eddy system to control the river. And as nerdy as it is, it's fascinating to me because I can sit out on my porch and watch the river go by all day. So I'm game for that. And really, honestly, this is like a confession. I'm currently reading the Outlander series. I watched the whole TV show and I thought, oh, I'm never going to like that. But they're really great books, and they're each over 1,000 pages, and I'm only in book 4. So I've got a long way to go. But they're great.
So I will give you a confession. I have no idea what Outlander is at all. Is that like, so there was that's not the movie with Sean Connery where he's an immortal, right?
No, but it's kind of similar. It's time travel. It's just, I can't even explain it. It's so bizarre. I think the show is on Stars, but the first 4 seasons might be on Hulu. And there's 8 books, and the author is coming out with the 9th book in November. So I'm really excited to read to get to them. But it's a multi-generational historical fiction, just all engrossing book, but it's really good.
So if someone, after they, of course, hear what you have to say and engage with you, if you would recommend one of the many influencers out there that people should listen to get their act together, who do you listen to? Who do you recommend?
I really like Michael Hyatt. He is out of Nashville, and he started out, I think he was the CEO of a Christian publishing house, but he's moved in.
Lifeway.
Well, I don't think he was Lifeway. I don't know. But anyway, he has great stuff about like managing your calendar and, just really good tools that he gives. And I also like Christy Wright. She is a business leader out of the Dave Ramsey organization, also in Nashville. And I think she's got a lot of really great things on there. So those are 2 that I listen to. I like their podcasts. I like their websites. I like to see what they're talking about. Interesting.
Well, we have gone 39 minutes. It's been rapid fire.
It went so fast. Thank you.
It goes so quick. It's been great having you, but I got one more question.
Okay.
What I want you to do is take the next couple minutes and speak directly to the audience that's here and those that will come back and watch this on replay, and tell them what you think are their first few steps to become their best leader self.
Okay, that's a really great question. I think that there's 2 steps that you need to really take. One is an inventory in your life. And so the best way to do that is to get a piece of paper next to you and have a plus on one side of the paper and a minus on the other. And as you go about your daily activities, write those things in either column. So that's going to help you take an inventory and an assessment of what you like and what you don't like. And so that will help point you to where you want to make change. So I think an inventory is really important. And then I think it's really important that you can ask 5 people, what do you think I am best known for? And when you get that kind of input from 5 people that you work with or your family, whatever. It will help validate, it'll help silence the gremlins. It will help point you in a direction that is your own true north, because that's what people see, whether that's what you intend them to see or not, that is what they see. So I think that's really important.
That's awesome. Thank you, Ronna-Renee, for being on the show today. I hope you've had as much fun as I've had. You're easy to talk to, and frankly, you're a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you very much for having me, and I do invite all of your followers to join us over in our Launch Point group.
Yes, there's Launch Point Leadership, and then there is the Facebook group, The Road to True Leadership. So everyone, that is Litvak Leadership Live for today. Again, check out all of our various social media outlets. They're going to pop up here at the end, but we'll be back next week with another subject matter expert in another area. That's it for now. Have a great weekend.